All right, let's dive right into something pretty significant happening, right where traditional finance meets digital assets.
Okay.
We're looking at an integration involving two key names that popped up in the sources: Colossus Digital and the Harmony Network, specifically their one token.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we've got, a mix of sources, press releases, some internal docs too, all pointing to the same thing. Colossus Digital has integrated Harmony One into their institutional hub.
And Colossus Digital, just to set the stage, they're all about infrastructure for institutional staking, right?
Exactly. Infrastructure providers.
Okay, so what's our plan here? We really want to unpack what this integration actually means for the big players, for institutions looking at digital assets.
And crucially, how it tackles some real sticking points they face with things like staking.
Yeah, the challenges. So let's start with this institutional hub from Colossus Digital. What is it exactly?
So think of it as this purpose-built platform. It's designed from the ground up for institutional needs when it comes to managing staking.
Purpose built.
Okay. And the key phrase they use, and it comes up a lot in the materials, is custody native. We should definitely dig into that.
Custody native. Got it. We'll circle back. And then there's Harmony. The sources describe it as a high-performance Layer 1 blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Features like sharding for scale, fast finality, low fees, and importantly, EVM compatibility, Ethereum virtual machine.
Right. Makes it easier to work with if you're used to Ethereum tools.
And their big goal seems quite ambitious, is scaling trust and creating a fair economy. So you can see why institutions looking into DeFi might find that appealing.
Definitely. Those features speed, cost, compatibility. They tick a lot of boxes for institutional exploration in DeFi.
So putting it together, this integration is essentially adding Harmony's one token staking onto the Colossus Hub.
That's the core of it.
But here's the bit that really stands out from the sources. It's not just listing one for staking. It's enabling these institutions to manage and stake one without the assets ever leaving their own secure custody setup.
Yeah, that's the crucial distinction. That's the bit that really matters for these players.
Okay, let's unpack that. Maybe start with Colossus Digital. Who are they, fundamentally?
Fundamentally, they're an infrastructure provider, like you said. They build the tools, the sort of plumbing that institutions need to get involved with staking and managing blockchain transactions safely.
Right. And their mission seems clear from the material, helping institutions, well, thrive, not just participate.
Yeah, providing secure, scalable tools,
Mm-hmm.
managing assets, generating yield, but always with that focus on institutional level security.
And supporting the ecosystems themselves. We even saw they flagged an ISO 9001 certification in one image. That
Yeah,
speaks to process, right?
it does. It suggests a focus on quality management systems. And they're based in Italy, Colossus SRL in Rome.
Okay, so let's go back to that custody native point you raised. Why is that approach, especially with this Harmony integration, so important for institutions? What's the problem it's solving?
Well, this really gets to the heart of it. Institutional interest in staking. It's definitely growing. They see the yield potential,
Sure.
but they hit these major roadblocks, things that, maybe retail users don't worry about as much. Primarily aligning staking with their super strict custody rules.
And just being operationally ready, right? Having the internal setups to do it securely, compliantly, and, well, at scale.
Exactly. They can't just, connect a browser wallet to a website like some might.
Yeah.
The security requirements are vastly different.
Makes sense. So the Colossus Hub is the answer to that.
That's the idea. It lets them handle the staking operations from within their existing trusted institutional custody provider.
Mhm.
The sources mentioned Fireblocks, Ledger Enterprise, DFNS as examples.
So custody native means the private keys, the things that control the assets, they never actually leave that secure institutional vault.
Precisely. All the sensitive stuff, the transaction signing, happens inside that trusted layer.
Right.
This massively reduces the attack surface compared to, say, moving assets around or using external dApps that aren't integrated with their main custody solution.
Right, which is huge for their internal compliance people and, dealing with regulators.
Absolutely critical for both.
Okay, shifting back to Harmony for a sec. We mentioned high performance, low fees. Anything else about its features that makes it a good candidate for this kind of institutional link-up?
Well, those core features are key, as we said. Sharding means it can handle volume. Fast finality is good for operational certainty. Low fees help the economics, especially if you're doing lots of reward claims or redelegations.
Mhm.
And being EVM compatible just lowers the barrier to entry for development and integration. It fits into a known ecosystem.
So it's a package that aligns with what institutions might look for if they're exploring yield in decentralized systems.
Yeah, the scaling trust mission also probably resonates to some degree.
Okay, let's get practical. An institution has one tokens. They're using, say, Fireblocks, and it's connected to the Colossus Hub. What can they actually do with their one?
So the sources lay out the main actions. First, delegate tokens. That's the basic staking action, assigning their one to chosen validators to earn rewards.
Standard staking. What else?
They can undelegate tokens, so pulling their stake back.
Yeah.
And the hub enforces the network's own rules, like the unbonding period. Doesn't bypass that.
Right, the lockup period. Makes sense.
Then collect rewards,
Mhm.
accruing the yield earned from staking and actually withdrawing it.
Okay. Delegate, undelegate, collect. Any other functions?
Yeah, also basic send tokens, secure transfers of one between their institutional wallets, again, all initiated and signed securely through their custody setup.
Got it. Now, the sources really lean into the security and control features within the hub itself. They make a point of saying this is different from using like standard third-party tools.
Right, this is where they highlight some of their specific tech designed for institutional needs. One is multi-party crafting. Okay, what's that?
It's basically a cryptographic system needing multiple people, multiple actors within the institution to sign off on creating and approving a transaction. So no single point of failure, internal controls built in.
Ah, like needing two keys to open the vault. Okay. And there was something called transaction lens.
Yes, transaction lens. This is about transparency. It tackles the risk of blind signing, approving a transaction without fully knowing what data is inside it.
Which can be risky with complex smart contracts.
Very risky. So the lens shows the raw transaction data clearly in a human-readable format before anyone signs off.
Okay, see what you're signing. That's important.
Yeah.
And the third one mentioned was a decoder.
The decoder. Think of it as a real-time validation check on the transaction payload itself.
How so?
It verifies that the transaction data matches expected patterns and behaviors for that type of transaction. It flags anything unusual or potentially dodgy. It's another layer to reduce operational risk. So checks and balances, transparency, and validation. And underpinning all of this, the actual signing, the final go-ahead, happens where?
Still happens securely inside the institution's custody solution. It always comes back to that custody-native foundation. Colossus provides the interface and the controls, but the keys stay put.
Okay, let's zoom out. This Harmony integration.
Yeah.
How does it fit into Colossus Digital's wider strategy? Is this a one-off or part of something bigger?
Oh, it's definitely part of a bigger picture. The sources make that clear. Colossus has already been adding support for other networks.
Right, you mentioned others earlier.
Yeah, networks in the Cosmos ecosystem, Avalanche, Secret Network, Polkadot, besides Ethereum. Adding Harmony is another step in that direction.
So building out support across different ecosystems.
Exactly. It shows they're committed to giving institutions access to yield opportunities on a pretty broad range of digital assets and blockchain types.
Seems very methodical. There's a quote in the materials from Lorenzo Barbantini Scani. He's the CRO and co-founder at Colossus. It seemed to capture this.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. What did it say again?
He said, institutional interest in staking continues to accelerate, but barriers remain when it comes to custody alignment and operational readiness. And then, the addition of Harmony to the institutional hub reflects our commitment to reducing complexity while maintaining institutional-grade control and transparency.
That nails it, doesn't it?
Oh.
It directly addresses the core problem, the complexity and risk, and states their solution, making it simpler and safer within existing institutional frameworks.
Yeah. And the sources make a direct appeal, too, basically telling institutions and validators looking for one delegation, hey, check out how this hub works with your custodian.
Which makes sense. They're targeting a specific audience with a specific solution.
So when you really step back and look at this Harmony integration done this specific way, custody native, secure controls, it feels like more than just a product update.
I think so, too. It feels like a really concrete example of that bridge building process we hear about.
Yeah.
Connecting traditional finance with Web3.
But doing it piece by piece.
Exactly. One asset, one network, one secure pathway at a time. And always with that intense focus on security, compliance, control of things institutions absolutely require.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive. The key takeaway seems to be this Colossus digital integration gives institutions a dedicated, secure way to stake Harmony One.
Yeah, a way that fits their specific needs. It's custody native, built for compliance, lets them chase yield without compromising their security models or giving up control.
And the value prop for them is pretty clear. It works with their existing big-name custodians,
Hmm.
gives them the specific staking actions they need, delegate, undelegate, collect rewards right within that secure zone,
Right.
and adds those extra layers of security, multi-party crafting, transaction lens, decoder for transparency, and risk management.
It's a package designed for that specific institutional user.
Yeah.
And the sources hint, you know, this isn't the end game. More innovations, more integrations are likely coming from Colossus.
So what does it all mean, big picture?
Well, I think it means that the essential plumbing, the really robust enterprise-grade infrastructure that large financial institutions need to safely step into decentralized networks,
Yeah.
it's being built steadily, piece by piece.
Each integration like this is another foundational block laid down.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We heard Colossus Digital's mission, bridging TradFi and Web3. On Harmony's goal, scaling trust, fairer economy.
Right.
So how might integrations like this one, which are so laser-focused on institutional security and access, ultimately shape the way traditional finance and these decentralized networks actually interact and evolve together in the future? Something to think about.